My brain always took me to the place where we are lived in the Premier League. That's what my brain is doing at the moment. So I just follow my brain and my gut, and this is how I feel. And this is as well the way that I want everybody to think. And hopefully we can achieve it. That's something is not in our hands. I'm telling you how I'm feeling, the thoughts that come to my head, and what is driving my energy and my purpose right now is that ambition and that objective that is so good. Obviously the difficulties there, the quality of the opposition, the quality of the individuals, the manager, it brings a lot of challenges. So as I said, we've been in very difficult scenarios this season. We've done very well, and hopefully we can do the same on Sunday.
We got two managers in very different positions. Erik ten Hag and Crystal Palace just thrashed United 4-0, and Ten Hag remains in a little bit of a tenuous situation. They've won one of their last 7 Premier League games. The Gunners are flying high, fellas, and have a chance to stay on the heels, if you will, or maybe even jump ahead, obviously, of City if they can win on Sunday. So we will start with the Sunday game first. And Janusz, I know because you've been pining and longing to talk more about Arsenal Man City. So let's just get right into your thoughts here. I mean, Arteta's a confident man, but this is a team that has not won at Old Trafford. In the last 10 trips, they've won once. So what do you make of this matchup Sunday? What jumps out to you?
Yeah, I mean, just a gut feeling. We've been talking about this, what's going to happen. We all feel that Manchester City are going to do what they normally do. They run out the schedule, and ultimately, when it's all said and done, they'll win the title by 1 point, probably, right? We're looking for these, what do you call them, hotspots, right? I mean, we thought that North London Derby may have been won. Mikel Arteta and Arsenal have passed that test. This is one. I'm just going on a gut. I worry for no other reason than just my gut, because certainly Arsenal are a much better team than Manchester United. Manchester United have been an embarrassment to themselves and to their fans, right? I think we can all agree on that for whatever reasons this year. But, we've seen Manchester United at Old Trafford against Liverpool, where they have really derailed Liverpool in that 3-horse race. Remember, we were just talking about the 3-horse race for a while now. It's just Arsenal and Manchester City. So my gut just tells me that this may be a time where these players, and I'm talking about Manchester United players, will look into how much of an embarrassment they have been, and somehow they take points away. And I sort of, sorry, I don't want this to happen to Arsenal, by the way, because they deserve, by the way, the way they've played so far this season, they deserve the title. Actually, I've said it here many times. I think they're the best team, for me, the best playing team in the Premier League. The way I watch the games, I enjoy Arsenal this season more than Manchester City.
LME, your thoughts, because Arteta, obviously, that sounds pretty confident. That first thing, he envisions him winning the title and taking out, hoisting that trophy. Lord knows I visualize it too. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Your thoughts on Sunday?
Yeah, it's a good place to start with Mikel Arteta. Just what we watched from the press conference. I think it was a very much quintessential Mikel Arteta presser. Actually, he likes to be very focused on the task at hand, not give too many cards away, and sort of focusing a lot on like what he visualizes and everything that they can do together. But I do go back to the point that Janusz was talking about, which is, listen, on paper, this should be an Arsenal win, like 100%. Okay, because they've won the 14 out of the last 16 matches, and they're entering this game with a fully fit squad. Manchester United, the complete opposite. We're talking about a team who had to do a center back pairing of Casemiro and Johnny Evans against Crystal Palace. Which that, by the way, was the 14th pairing of center backs for Manchester United. And like Janusz said, United have been a mess. They've been inconsistent. They've lost some really, really bad games as well. Bruno Fernandes is back in the squad, but we're not sure. So on paper, Arsenal should come in here and say, well, we got this. But as you mentioned, Dalen, specifically at the very beginning of this show, historically speaking, at Old Trafford, Arsenal don't do that well. They haven't, they've won once in the last 16 visits. 10 of them have been defeats in those matches. So really, this is about consistency and match history. But Arsenal should come in here and really do something. But here is the key thing. This is a mental thing. And Mikel Arteta and Arsenal know that the hands of this title are not in their destiny. They're in the destiny of Manchester City. And I agree with Janusz. Arsenal, to me, have been the best team to watch this season. But unfortunately, that's not enough. And so I'm thinking that Arsenal will win this game because I think mentally they're ready. And one big key component, though, by the way, is Bukayo Saka's availability, because he's been tremendous against Manchester United. 5 goal contributions against them. Only Thierry Henry has had more in one season. And if he's not available, then there's a problem. But, on paper, Arsenal should win this game. But will it be a banana slip, just like when Villa won at Emirates? We'll have to wait and see.
And you just mentioned Saka. We will talk about Saka later because the Premier League has released their 8 finalists for the Player of the Year, and he's not on it. So we'll get to that later in the show as well. Janusz,
Dalen is so angry. You can feel it.
Well, I mean, you're going to feel this, though, too. Because the reverse fixture of this matchup, though, this was my first time at the Emirates, guys. I was there in September, one of the best sporting events in my life, because they're down 2-1, and they win 3-2. Declan Rice scores, place goes nuts. And there was always a belief. You talk mentality. I mean, being in that stadium was like, they're going to win this game. They dominated the game. They found a way to come back and win it. I feel like that mentality has carried through a lot of this year, but you mentioned Villa, you mentioned other games. There have been slip-ups. I mean, lost on the road at Craven Cottage. Like, there have been slip-ups through the course of the season. Is it purely mentality, Janusz? Because you believe that United is going to win this game, you just said, because of a feeling. Is it a mentality thing, or where are you at?
I didn't say they were going to win it. I think that the points may be dropped, but you're quite right. Mentality is big, and this is where you have to prove it. I mean, there's always going to be a game like this. If it wasn't the North London derby, it was going to be something else, right? Manchester City are coming into this saying, look, listen, we've been there, we've done that on numerous occasions, right? If you look at the last decade, and they're just winning everything, right? So they have that experience. They go into games truly thinking, we're going to win it. We know how to do it. We have the quality, and we have the experience. For Arsenal, this is the sort of a game, right? Because look, if Arsenal doesn't win the championship, this time around, to me, it's not necessarily going to be a choke, because remember, Mikel Arteta, maybe not in here, but in the past, has always talked about the process and the progress. And when managers talk about that, what do we do as pundits? Yeah, right. Process, progress. When he was finishing 8th twice, we were like, yeah, let's get rid of him. He's not good enough. Well, he's proven that point. And you look at Arsenal right now, and you can see them consistently getting better from those 8th place finishes to barely missing it last season, even though they were, before that, I think they finished 5th, right? Remember that?
Yes,
just outside of the Champions League spots. And then last year, it was sort of a push, but we all knew that they weren't ready. They are ready right now. Arsenal Football Club is good enough to win the Premier League. And this is going to be one of those games. Guys, think about that, right? I mean, we're talking here, Arsenal going to Old Trafford and winning it because they're favorites, and they are. So in a way, I hope that they do the job to make it interesting, to see this progress, to see this process to come to a fruition. I really, truly hope that this happens, because it's a good story for all of us, and it puts away all the naysayers that we are, where we look for what? Listen to me. I'm looking at a gut feeling. I can't back this up why Manchester United should win this game or take points away, because if they draw, it's done and dusted, right? City runs away with it. So I do hope that this story of Mikel Arteta and Arsenal comes good.
Your point is well taken, because when they finished 5th, they faded down the stretch to really capitulate and lose a top 4 spot. Last year, they faded down the stretch. The last 3 or 4 weeks, it was no longer a race. This year, there's no fade. They are going stride for stride with City. It's just the position they find themselves in. Let's talk about United, though, on the other side, because LME, Ten Hag, it's a weekly conversation about, with new management, new ownership situation there. Will Ten Hag be the guy going forward? Is he the right guy? Is this kind of like a referendum? Is this a must-win game, or is this kind of, is the hay in the barn as it relates to maybe his position going forward, given their form?
I mean, listen, I'm so tired of answering this question, because it's
sorry, man.
No, I mean, it's not even your fault, man. It's the thing that we do have to ask.
Let me count it this way: does winning this game matter to him in terms of his long-term future?
Well, no,
I'm going to say absolutely.
Let me answer it. Let me answer it this way. First of all, Erik ten Hag absolutely wants to destroy Arsenal. He wants to win every single game, and he's very stubborn in both the way he sees the vision for Manchester United as well as he sees every fixture going forward. The question is this, right? The question is this, and I'm going to be specifically about Arsenal on Sunday. Let's focus on that game for a second, right? The question is this: will Erik ten Hag be a little bit more flexible in his philosophy? The answer is no. When you have Mainu and Christian Eriksen that like to push up and sort of leave their man-marking duties, Manchester United are known to leave acres of space in the midfield, right? And that's exactly what happened last time around and many times over. Crystal Palace destroyed them. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes wasn't playing. Casemiro and Johnny Evans as centre-backs is not exactly the best solution, but Erik ten Hag is stubborn for his philosophy. And it's one thing that you have to admire of that, but at the same time, it's not the right plan for Manchester United. The best way to beat Arsenal, in my opinion, it's not always going to happen, is the way Unai Emery did it with Aston Villa. I was there in that game, and it was a sort of a mid-block counter-pressing situation where Yuri Tillemans and John McGinn looked up and just countered as soon as Arsenal lost possession. That's not Manchester United. Manchester United are going to push you. They're going to try and stretch you, individually create some one-on-ones with Anthony, etc. Rashford if he's fit, etc. But that's just breathing into the fire of Arsenal. So you just can't do it. So the question is this: if Erik ten Hag wants to stay in this job, can he be more amiable to be more diversified in his philosophy? I don't think that's the right answer. By the way, they have an FA Cup final against Manchester City. What if they win that? Will Sir Jim Ratcliffe be happy about it? I'm just saying this. If you want to beat Arsenal on Sunday, you're going to have to do more than just your specific high press, open wide, leave acres of spaces in the midfield. And that's not going to happen. And that's why I think Arsenal will win.
Yeah. And you know what? Now that you say that, I was just thinking, listening. In a way, for me, this is a litmus test for Ten Hag and Manchester United. It really is, because we don't know what the decision may be. We're hearing that he's got the backing maybe of the ownership, and obviously, you know, there's new investors coming in and new CEO coming from Manchester City. This, that, blah blah blah. I don't know where that stands. You know, I'm not on the inside to know what they're thinking about Ten Hag. But if it's still open, this is the game, right? I mean, they've got nothing to lose, because you've mentioned the philosophy and the way, you know, what Ten Hag does. We don't know that, right? We assume that he's going to be the sort of manager that came over from Eredivisie and Ajax, where you play 4-3-3, you play attacking football, you high press and all that. We know for one reason or another that this wasn't possible. And by the way, I feel for him a little bit, right? Everybody's getting injuries, and we could list here the Newcastle and everybody else. But it's not going to be easy, because even going into this game, he's not going to have key players in key positions. But if I were Ten Hag, if I was going to make a case for myself in this one, and I do feel that I think he's got to make a case for himself and for his owners to keep him. This is the game where they're likely will not make it to Europe. I don't think they will, even Europa League or Conference League, whatever it may be, just to say, okay, here we are. It's a one-off. It's Arsenal. This is the way I want to play. And kind of, you know, take the handcuffs off a little bit, because I feel that this is how this Manchester United has been playing, and not true to what I believe is his philosophy.
Yeah, and by the way, Dalen, very quickly, just reminding everybody, 14 center-back pairing changes this season. 14. That's not because Erik ten Hag wants to do it. It's because the injuries have been the case. Harry Maguire's no longer there. Rafael Varane, Victor Lindelof. I mean, I'm not saying they're tremendously consistent center-backs all season, but they're people that Erik ten Hag relies on. And this is the problem. When you want to create a condition in which you want to better prosper with your team, you can't do it when you're changing 14 times your center-back pairing. Luke Shaw keeps being injured. I believe he's back for this one. But he's dealt with a lot. Janusz is right. And I do feel for him. But, you know, not all of it is down to injuries. A lot of the time, he has to stand up, put his hand up and say, okay, what do I do in order to make my team the best possible ready for a team against Arsenal? We'll have to wait and see what happens.
And then definitely, I think, some man management questions along the way with Ten Hag, whether you look at Sancho's situation, other situations throughout the course of his tenure there. Real quick then, Janusz, you think they take points though? Give me a score real quick. Just give me the numbers.
1-1.
1-1. LME.
Nah, this is 2-0 Arsenal.
2-0 Arsenal. They are huge favorites, minus 260, which means you got to bet $260 to win $100 back.
Not
So
happening.